Hey everybody, so today I'm going to be unboxing my Ninja Foodi Possible Cooker Pro. I'm going to unbox it and then probably do a couple different recipes just to see how it works. I did pick this up at my local Target, but obviously if you aren't anywhere near Target, you can definitely do some different shopping around or even buy it online. So there is, on the very top, about the time I put my scissors away, I'm gonna need it. But yeah, let me grab my scissors really quick here. Alright. Because as you can see, we have the slotted spoon that comes with it. And so that's kind of neat that you get your own little spoon and it has a little spoon rest knob on it. And then also you get your lid that's just right off the top here. And I would really like to not rip all this paint off, but so just for that, I'm just going to take the lid right out of there. And so inside the lid you have your owner's guide along with a recipe booklet, it looks like. So we'll get those out here. And so yes, you get 15 recipes plus charts for unlimited possibilities. I do love that they come with recipes because if you're like me, sometimes you cook and you get stuck on what to make. So it's always nice to get inspired by new ideas. And on page 1 of the owner manual, as usual, it says remove and discard any packaging material, stickers, and tape from the unit. Remove all accessories from the package and read this manual carefully. Please pay particular attention to operating instructions, warnings, and important safeguards to avoid any injury or property damage. Wash the main base unit, inner cooking pot lid, and spoon ladle with a damp, soapy cloth. Then rinse with a clean, damp cloth and dry thoroughly. Never submerge the main unit in water, of course. And then step number 4 here, it says we recommend turning the unit on and running the unit for 10 minutes without adding any food. Make sure the area is well ventilated. This removes any packaging residue and odor traces that may be present. This is completely safe and not detrimental to the performance of the Possible Cooker Pro. So now you know what I am going to do after I get it all out of the box. So here is your nice lid. And I feel like we're going to come off pretty easy. And your little cord is right here. So this is the inner pot that it was talking about. And it is an 8.5 quart pot. So obviously you're going to be able to cook quite a bit in this. So that's good. And I'm going to get the box out of the way. So, let's set him off to the side. Oopsie. Alright. Perfect. And let you guys get a front view here. So it looks pretty darn nice. So, and there's all the different functions and stuff that this Ninja can do. And I'm just going to set the pot in here so we can kind of get a look as far as what all it looks like put together. So, and this, I believe, well, I can't decide what I can't. Alright, so in here it's etched for when you do the, I'm going to butcher this name, but sous vide. I don't exactly know what that is, and so I am terribly sorry if I butchered that name. So as you can see, it does sit up a little high, and this is perfectly fine for the unit. It looks like that's how it's supposed to go. And so when we have it all put together, I believe we're going to do something like that when it's all put together and when we're going to be cooking up a storm here. So let me go ahead and get it all wiped down and we'll see if we can get something cooking in here today. Alright, so I have obviously moved my Ninja Possible cooker over to my countertop here, and I did go ahead and wash off all the parts, and now we're ready to do the little 10-minute cook cycle here. In the owner's manual, it didn't specify any particular mode to do this 10-minute little cook, so since it didn't say anything, I am going to do, let's see, I think we'll just sear saute, and I'm going to go ahead and adjust the time, or not, apparently not adjusting time on, let me see if it'll do it that way. Nope. Okay. So apparently you can't set time when you sear or saute. So I'm just going to go ahead and put it back on high, and I'm going to start, and I will be back in 10 minutes when it's done doing its thing. Alright, so as you can see, we got about 1 minute left to go here, and it does have, you know, that new smell, so don't be alarmed, you know, if you smell it. It is completely normal. And lo and behold, I did find a recipe that we could use today. It is a slow cooker recipe, and I'll just kind of give you a little peek here. It is, I want to say pasta fagioli soup. I've made it once before. To me, it's almost kind of like goulash, and I love it. So, I have most of my ingredients. I have some ground beef that's thawing out right at the moment. I know, I apologize for my paper. It's been used a few times. 2 whole carrots are going to be diced, but I have some baby carrots here, so I'm just going to do a good handful of those and cut those up. And as you see, I have my celery here. It does call for a medium onion. And so I'm going to cut up the rest of this one, and then maybe you just use about half of that one or less. And then, as you see, it says 28-ounce cans of fresh tomatoes, which I have that right there, along with cannellini beans and kidney beans. We're going to add the beans in towards the very end, along with the pasta as well. So basically, we're just going to be adding in the ground beef and the veggies, and then, of course, all of these wonderful seasonings that I will get out and prepared before I put it all in the Ninja Foodi professional cooker here. And I just realized I called it a professional cooker, and that is not correct, so I apologize. I meant to say the Possible Cooker Pro. Sorry. And also, as I realized I called it the wrong name, we are officially over the 10-minute mark, so I'm going to go ahead and just turn this off for right now. Oh, and obviously it's telling us goodbye, so that's very nice. And so yeah, let me go ahead and get everything else prepped for our slow cooker soup, and then we'll be back to get it started. Alright, so I am ready to do some cooking in my Ninja Possible Pro. I'm going to first ground the hamburger meat in here, just because according to the recipe it says to brown the meat before, like on the stove, but since we're going to be adding everything together, I am just going to cook my meat in here and just make it super simple, kind of like a one pot kind of thing. So I'm going to turn it on, and we're just going to move the little dial down to sear saute. I'm going to keep it on the high temp just to get the meat nice and cooked quick. I'm going to go ahead and hit start, and since it already done the little 10-minute cook, it still feels pretty warm in there, so I'm going to just grab my meat and put it in there. So I'll let you guys hang out up here to kind of get a better view of what's going on. Make sure you can see pretty good in there. Oh yeah, don't mind my dish drying rack in the background. I'll actually see if I can tilt you guys a little further down in here so we can just see. Okay, let me get my meat here. And the meat I'm using is, you know, extra lean. I believe it's the 93% lean ground beef. So, and I actually got it from my local Sam's Club. I haven't bought that meat there before. So it'll be neat to see how well it cooks up. I'm gonna go ahead and wash my hands really quick too. So let me just do that really quick. So I'm excited because we'll be able to use the spoon that came with the Ninja Foodi Possible Cooker Pro. I'm excited to use that, but for the sake of cooking the hamburger meat, I'm just going to use one of my other spatulas just to kind of get it all broke up here. So, and I did go ahead and read a little bit further into the owner's manual, and so this pot here is actually dishwasher safe, and so is the lid and the spoon, but obviously the main unit is not, so you just want to be careful to not put that obviously in the dishwasher. So, but I'm going to kind of, that looks good enough for the moment, so I'm just going to kind of let that sit and do its thing. So I'll be back once this is all browned up and ready to go, because then we can just dump everything else in and we'll be ready to get on to the slow cook part. Alright, so the ground beef is actually all cooked in here. It is definitely not very fast. The timer right now is saying it's cooked for 17 minutes. So even though it's on high, it's definitely not very fast. So if you're in a hurry, I would probably just do it on the stove instead. But yeah, so that's at least how you do the stir saute function on your Ninja Foodi Possible Cooker Pro. Alright, and now that we're done cooking our meat for our slow cooker soup, we're going to go ahead and add in all the other ingredients. I am going to add in your 4 celery stalks, not with that, sorry, and then your carrots and your onions. You can get all that in there, and like I said, I am going to use the nice little spoon here. Get that plate out of the way here. And so it also calls for, it said 2 14.5 ounce cans of beef broth. So I am just going to add in the whole 32 ounce container of beef broth in here. And I also need to open my can of tomatoes because I have not done that yet. So bear with me here. To that, we are going to add 1 teaspoon of oregano. And then you also do 1 teaspoon of basil. So we'll get that. There's your 1 teaspoon of basil. And then you do a 1/2 teaspoon of thyme. So there's your little 1/2 teaspoon of thyme. And then it said 2 bay leaves, but I'm going to wait and add in the bay leaves after I add in the crushed tomatoes. So let me give this a stir really quick before I go get my can opener and get my tomatoes opened. So, okay. So I'm going to leave that just kind of hang out. Let's see if it'll hang out nice. So I'm going to be back in just a minute with those crushed tomatoes. Alright, we are back and I am ready to pour in my 28 ounce can of diced, or crushed tomatoes, I'm sorry. And like I said, the beans will be added in and the pasta will be added in like 30 minutes before it's done. So in the meantime, we're just going to get this all stirred together, and I'm going to toss in the 2, there's 1, and there's 2 bay leaves. I'm going to get them in there, and I am going to go ahead and season with just a little bit of salt and pepper. I believe we're going to do that also at the end. So I'm just going to do a little sprinkle here. Nothing too crazy. All right. The nice thing with this recipe is it says you can cook it on low or hot. Excuse me. You can cook it on low for 8 to 10 hours, or you can do high for 3 to 4. And since it's a little bit later in the day, we are going to do it high. So I'm going to go ahead and set that spoon rest up there and get you guys down here to see. That smells delicious. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and move our little dial back up to slow cook. I guess not, we have to stop it first. So now you're done searing and sauteing. So, and it went back up, and we're going to do high like I said, and temperature I said we're actually going to set it for 330. No, we'll do 3 for 3 hours. So then you just hit your little start button and it's going to do its thing. And so yeah, I will be back in actually about 2.5 hours, because that's when you add in the beans and the pasta. So I will see you then. Alright, so just as I said before, when you're at your last or final 30 minutes of cooking this particular recipe, it says to add in your pasta and your cannellini beans and kidney beans. So I'm going to take the spoon off, obviously, and pot holder for the lid, because obviously we're going to be very hot. So, and just for the sake of sitting it down, I'm going to sit it over here just for a moment. And so your beans, your kidney beans and your cannellini beans do need to be drained and rinsed, and it's 1 can each. And your pasta is 1 cup of the ditalini pasta. So just add it in there and give it a nice big stir. And again, I'll season it with some salt and pepper, just a tiny bit more, before I shut the lid and let it go for the last half hour. So sprinkle a little bit in there. I apologize for the lighting. I had a kitchen light malfunction earlier, so hopefully you guys can see it. I'll give you guys a better view here when it's officially done. So I'm going to go ahead and just give it a nice big stir one more time. And it smells incredible, so I'm very excited to see how it tastes. So, alright. And set my spoon off to the side and grab my pot holder and lid. Or my mitten. Alright. Let's set that there. And I'm just going to put my spoon back in the little rest right there. And I'll be back in 28 minutes. So, as you can see, it is done. I have no idea how I spaced out on the time, but the really awesome thing is it went ahead and switched over to the keep warm function. So I'm just gonna put you guys back up here and taste a noodle to make sure that it's actually done, because you know, it's nothing worse than uncooked pasta. I mean, unless you kind of like it that way, but I don't. So be careful when you take the lid off, because it's going to be very, very hot. I'm just going to set this over here and give it a good stir. And obviously, while I'm stirring, I managed to uncover 1 bay leaf. I know there's another one in here. So, nobody needs to eat a leaf either. So, And I can always find that other one later. But I need to get a good stir. Like I said, taste at least one of my little pastas. And with a ditalini pasta being so small, I'm sure it's going to be totally fine. So, without me burning my tongue off. Oh yeah, it is definitely done. So, I'm going to just kind of let this sit right there. And then, as simple as it is, you know, you just turn the power button off and it tells you goodbye. So, I will let it sit here for about 5 minutes before I give it a little taste test, noodles and all, and let you know how it is. Alright, so it's been about 5 minutes, so I'm just going to take a little sample out of here. And I'm just going to be careful not to burn my tongue, so. Oh yeah. That is super delicious. And I'll get you guys over so you can get a double check or a double look at the recipe. But that is how you make the slow cooker pasta fagioli soup in your Ninja Foodi Possible Cooker Pro. Sorry, I'm horrible with names. And I had a brain fart, of course. Yeah, so that is how you do that recipe. And yeah, that is pure deliciousness in the Ninja Foodi Possible Cooker Pro.